Independent Catholic churches are Christian groups, particularly small groups, led by bishops and identifying with Catholic tradition but not in communion with the Roman Catholic Church nor with any other churches whose sacraments are recognized by the Roman Catholic Church. The term, independent Catholic, is not usually applied to the Church of England nor to the other member churches of the Anglican Communion. However, independent Catholic is customarily applied to churches that consider themselves to be Old Catholic, including the Old Catholic churches that form the Union of Utrecht. Even though the Union of Utrecht churches are in communion with the Church of England and with the wider Anglican Communion. In the case of continuing Anglican churches outside the Anglican Communion, those churches identifying with Catholic tradition may sometimes be considered as being independent Catholic churches. Virtually all groups in the independent Catholic movement claim to have valid apostolic succession for their bishops. The bishops of independent Catholic churches are sometimes referred to as episcopi vagantes because of their lack of affiliation with the larger communion of churches. History. Although the term Old Catholic was first used in 1853 to describe those Catholics in Utrecht in the Netherlands, most scholars date the modern Old Catholic movement to the 1870s. After the First Vatican Council in 1870, considerable groups of Austrian, German and Swiss Catholics rejected the declaration of papal infallibility and left to form their own churches independent of the Pope. These churches were supported by the Old Catholic Archbishop of Utrecht who ordained their priests and bishops. Later they united more formally under the name Utrecht Union of Churches. The independent Catholic movement came to Great Britain in 1908 when Arnold Harris Matthew was consecrated by Old Catholic Church of the Netherlands Archbishop Gerardus Goul. The Union of Utrecht incorrectly believed that Matthew had a significant following in the United Kingdom also that there would be a wave of clergy wanting to leave the Church of England as a result of Pope Leo XIII's declaration that Anglican orders were null and void. Matthew believed that Old Catholicism would provide a home for these disaffected clergy. However, the mass conversions failed to occur. Before separating from the Union of Utrecht, Matthew ordained several individuals to the episcopacy and priesthood, from whom a number of new churches quickly developed, including the Liberal Catholic Church, whose first bishop, James Ingle Wedgwood, was consecrated by Frederick Samuel Willoughby who had been consecrated by Matthew. Joseph René Villiter, an Old Catholic priest, is credited with being the first person to bring the independent movement to North America. In 1892 Villiter traveled to India where he obtained ordination to the episcopacy by the Oriental Orthodox bishops in India. Over the following 28 years Villiter consecrated a number of men to the episcopacy. These bishops, or their successors, went on to found many different jurisdictions in North America. Groupings. Many, but not all, independent Catholic clergy claim descent from the Union of Utrecht member churches, although Utrecht does not officially accept their orders. Like Orthodoxy, Utrecht holds that ordinations can only be done within the Church as a whole and with appropriate authority. Some independent groups in North America began life as Protestant or charismatic congregations. For example, the Charismatic Episcopal Church came into being when charismatic fellowships rediscovered both sacramentalism and the historical apostolic succession. Another group, the Evangelical Orthodox Church, found its way into mainstream Eastern Orthodoxy. One part joined the Antiochian Orthodox Christian Archdiocese of North America in 1987. Other parishes later entered the Orthodox Church in America, whilst a remnant, which does not claim traditional apostolic succession, kept the name Evangelical Orthodox Church and continued as an independent church. Since the orders of the EOC were not regarded as valid by the Orthodox bishops, the reception of clergy into mainstream Orthodoxy was always accompanied by ordination. The Brazilian Catholic Apostolic Church was founded in 1945 by Bishop Carlos Duarte Costa, who withdrew from the Roman Catholic Church, opposing its position on clerical celibacy and divorce and accusing it of fascist sympathies, which he saw evidenced in documents such as Rerum Novarum, Quadragesimo Anno and Divina Redemptoris. Duarte Costa went on to consecrate other bishops in Europe as well as North and South America. Several independent Catholic bodies trace their apostolic succession through Duarte Costa, including the Catholic Apostolic Church in North America. A number of liturgical churches are sometimes regarded as independent Catholics, but do not fit neatly in this category. Continuing Anglican churches are sometimes included in this grouping, but this is disputed, especially with regard to the larger Anglican bodies, and these continuing churches do not count themselves as being within the independent Catholic movement. Traditionalist Catholic groups that are in a regular standing with the Holy See are sometimes regarded as independent Catholics, but they do not see themselves in this manner, rather they regard themselves as being the true Church, believing that Catholicism has embraced teachings which are schismatic, or even heretical since the Second Vatican Council. A similar controversy exists regarding the Old Calendar Eastern Orthodox jurisdictions, including the Ukrainian Autocephalous Orthodox Church and bodies which split from mainstream Orthodoxy specifically in order to maintain the old, liturgical calendar. There have been attempts to construct broader categories to include many of these groups, for example the Independent Sacramental Movement. But most of these groups would be uncomfortable with such a characterization. Evangelical Catholic groups such as the Anglo-Lutheran Catholic Church describe themselves as Lutheran, rather than Catholic, because of their Lutheran heritage and the fact that they accept those clauses of the unaltered Augsburg Confession which agree with their understanding of the Roman Catholic magisterium. Others, such as the Antiochian Catholic Church in America, do describe themselves as Catholic, while claiming that their doctrine is based, with variations, on that of a church that has been unrelated to the Roman Catholic Church for centuries. The Polish National Catholic Church is occasionally referred to as an independent Catholic Church. However, the PNCC rejects this designation. The PNCC derives its orders from the Old Catholic Union of Utrecht but is no longer in communion with Utrecht or the Episcopal Church in the United States of America. These relationships ended because the PNCC rejects the ordination of both women and sexually active homosexuals. Whilst no longer in communion with any other body, the PNCC remains a relatively substantial denomination, maintaining active dialogue with the Roman Catholic and Orthodox churches. It is also a member of the World Council of Churches. Very few independent groups are as large as either the Ecumenical Catholic Communion, with 27 congregations in the United States and 6 in Europe, or the Old Catholic Church, Province of the United States with 13 congregations, or the Catholic Apostolic Church in North America, with 10 congregations. The majority consist of 1 or 2 bishops, a few priests and deacons, and a small number of adherents. In numerous cases, bishops have been consecrated without having any priests under their jurisdiction. Some bishops have received multiple consecrations, often as conditional consecrations, in an attempt to secure a more widely recognized claim to apostolic succession. For example, Bishop Hugh George de Wilmot Newman. Faith and practice. Virtually all members of the independent movement worship according to a set liturgy, usually derived from a mainstream historical Christian rite, such as the Syriac, Byzantine, or Roman. Sometimes they use a liturgy that is a combination of 2 or more of these historical liturgies, or one that is unique to the group in question. By definition, all such groups are episcopal in polity, being led by bishops and priests who are assisted by deacons. All hold to a sacramental understanding of the Christian faith related to that broadly held in common by the Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, Oriental Orthodox, Assyrian, and traditional or High Church Anglican and Anglo-Catholic churches. Independent Catholicism also affirms the text of the Nicene Creed, but interpretations vary widely based upon how many councils are recognized by the independent Catholic Church in question. However, independent groups disagree on the ordination of women, homosexuality, abortion, contraception, divorce, and other issues that are controversial also in more mainstream sections of Christianity. Unlike most of their more conventional counterparts, these groups, usually being quite small, tend to be internally fairly homogeneous on these and other issues. In other words, divisions on these and other questions are between these groups, not so much within them. These independent congregations represent a variety of doctrines. Some, such as the Liberal Catholic Church, the Free Church of Antioch, the Catholic Apostolic Church of Antioch, Malabar Rite, and the Young Rite, are characterized by a neo-Gnostic and theosophical orientation. Other independent groups are quite conservative, following extremely traditionalist Catholic or Old Calendar Orthodox positions. Still others describe themselves as Evangelical Catholic and High Church Lutheran. Holy Orders. The claims of many within the independent movement are continuity with holy orders as found in Roman Catholicism. Eastern Orthodoxy and Oriental Orthodoxy are based at least in part on an understanding of apostolic succession that has been held by some within the Latin Church since the time of the Donatist controversy in the 4th and 5th centuries AD. According to those who hold this view, a person becomes a bishop if consecrated in an approved rite by another bishop even when he is outside the boundaries of Catholicism. However, some theologians consider this view to be mechanical and reductionist. They hold that an episcopal ordination is for service within a specific Christian church, and an ordination ceremony that concerns only the individual himself does not make him truly a bishop and are without effect. This view has been affirmed, for instance, by the International Bishops' Conference of the Old Catholic Church with regard to ordinations by Arnold Matthew. Independent clergy reject this characterization, seeing their bishops as always ordained for the service of others and for the Christian community, whether in a defined jurisdiction or more broadly. The Eastern Orthodox Church and the Coptic Church and the other churches of Oriental Orthodoxy completely reject the validity of the ordinations of heretics or schismatics, and thus do not recognize the orders of independent clergy, whom they place in these categories. While the Roman Catholic Church has more than once declared that certain episcopal consecrations have no canonical effect, it has occasionally stated that it was not thereby expressing a judgment on the validity, but merely on their canonical efficacy. Thus, when it declared the consecrations performed by Archbishop Pierre-Martin Gothin-Thuc for the Christian Palmarian Church of the Carmelites of the Holy Face devoid of canonical effect on 31 December 1975, it refrained from pronouncing on its validity. It made the same statement about later ordinations by those bishops, saying that those who have been ordained in this unlawful manner, or who may in the future be ordained by them, whatever about the validity of their orders, the Church does not recognize their ordination nor shall it do so, and she considers them, as regards all legal effects, in the state which each one had beforehand and subject to penal sanctions of 1917 Code of Canon Law, Canons 2370 and 2373 1-3, as well as excommunication reserved to the Apostolic See mentioned in a 1951 decree. The clause, in the state which each one had beforehand, indicates that the Holy See views as juridically laymen those whose sole claim to be clergy is based on the ordinations in question. The Holy See of the Roman Catholic Church did not question the validity of the 1988 Icone consecrations by Archbishop Marcel Lefebvre for the Society of St. Pius X that he had founded. Lefebvre was capable of forming the necessary intention while questions were raised regarding the mental capacity of Archbishops Go and Malingo to perform ordinations according to the understanding of the Roman Catholic Church. Malingo was advanced in age and possibly suffering from dementia, and Malingo had undergone a marriage conducted by the Unification Church which would raise questions about his theology. The Vatican statement concerning Malingo also refers to him as elderly, with obvious attendant implications. The official view of the Eastern Orthodox Churches may be summarized as follows. Thus, the Orthodox Church, while accepting the canonical possibility of recognizing the existence of sacraments performed outside herself, it questions the validity and certainly rejects their efficacy. It sees the canonical recognition of the validity of sacraments performed outside the Orthodox Church to the validity of the sacraments only of those who join the Orthodox Church. The Orthodox Communion does not and will not accept as valid any ordination ceremonies of clergy not accepted into their own communion. Multiple ordinations or conditional ordinations. Some independent clergy have undergone more than one ceremony of ordination to priesthood or episcopacy at the hands of bishops having different lines of apostolic succession, with a view to ensuring a broader and more diverse claim to valid holy orders and apostolic succession. The bishop conducting such a ceremony may use conditional language on the lines of, "If you are not already ordained, I now ordain you." Sometimes a series of such ceremonies are undergone, in what is called cross-consecration. Bishops representing different lines of apostolic succession consecrate each other to multiply the claims of each to genuine apostolic succession. Practices of this nature continue, though they are perhaps less prevalent than in the past. As an example, Archbishop Peter Paul Brennan of the African Orthodox Church, one of four conditionally ordained to the episcopate on 24 September 2006 by Roman Catholic Archbishop Emmanuel Malingo, who was therefore excommunicated, claims to have been first consecrated on 10 June 1978 and to have been subsequently conditionally reconsecrated several times before participating in the Malingo ceremony. Hugh George de Wilmot Newman is a notable example of an individual who was conditionally consecrated numerous times. Over a period of 10 years between 1945 and 1955, Newman took part in several ceremonies of conditional consecration and cross-consecration. It was Newman's aspiration that individual bishops would carry not just one or two historic lines or streams of apostolic succession, but numerous different lines or streams, converging to form an ecumenical apostolic succession. List of churches. American Catholic Church in the United States. American National Catholic Church. Antiochian Catholic Church in America. Argentine Catholic Apostolic Church. Brazilian Catholic Apostolic Church. Catholic Charismatic Church of Canada. Catholic Mariavite Church. Christ Catholic Church. Ecumenical Catholic Church. Ecumenical Catholic Communion. Evangelical Catholic Church. Fraternité Notre Dame. Amani Temple African American Catholic Congregation. Independent Sacramental Movement. Liberal Catholic Church. National Catholic Church of America. Old Catholic Church. Old Catholic Mariavite Church. Old Roman Catholic Church. Orthodox Catholic Church of America. Philippine Independent Church. Reformed Old Catholic Church. Traditionalist Mexican American Catholic Church.